What up, everybody? Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron. Let me go ahead and get over to the stream here. It's so weird now that we only have one to worry about. This is a Music Monday stream, by the way. We discussed that already prior. Oh, good morning, good morning, good morning. Of course, Joe, we're always doing articles. Please tweet some articles. We never don't do articles. What's up, Larry? And this is our first time doing a Monday show. And we're already getting some articles here. There's also something that I want to that I need to give an update on. So we'll wait until we get 30 people logged in, and then we will go to town. All right. Can you do something on Allison Hartson? What do you want me to do? Why do I sound like I'm rocking a pouty lip? You'll find out. Actually, you'll find out. All right, we're over 30. The show has officially begun. Let's do this. Get your news on with Ron. You wanna know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. You wanna know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can tweet me an article on Ron the Code. We'll go through it together and make it on. Get your news on with Ron. You wanna know what's going on? Getting our news on today. Yeah, 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 yeah. What up, everybody? It's a little loud. Turn it down a little bit. How's that? Is that better? Sorry, my voice is a little hoarse. Good to see everybody. Thanks for being here on a Monday. And we've got plenty to talk about. Oh, What's up, Brother Ron? Congrats on the municipal broadband proposal. You might want to wait a few minutes to congratulate me. That's actually something we have to talk about. I appreciate it, but I have an update on that, and it was what I was looking at as we were prepping for the show. I was going through this. So, spoiler alert. I guess we can just jump into that right now. I just got back, guys. I was in Catalina and on vacation with my folks and had a lovely couple of days. It was very fun. Catalina's a fun island. And, yeah, I don't know if, I know I said this was Music Monday, so, it was very nice, yes. I know I said this was Music Monday, so we do a little bit of music talk, which I totally want to do. I even wore my t-shirt for today. I wore, this is a band called Bleached. I recommend checking them out if you haven't yet. But, to tie it into Music Monday real quick here before we kick in, when I was on Catalina Island, I went to a restaurant and I saw a girl in a GBH hoodie, and that really struck me. I was like, is there a punk scene on this island? That was what I could not help wondering, is there a punk scene on this island? And it made me wonder, I don't know if you've ever been in a weird, obscure place. Not obscure, I mean, obviously Catalina Island is not obscure, but it's a small island that's about 7 miles in length total, and I think a total of 4,000 people live there. So you kind of wonder, like, what they have as far as subculture and stuff like that goes. And I've certainly been in places before where I've wondered that. And, yeah, you should definitely check out Bleach, Daniel. They're very good. I saw them open for Against Me, and prior to that, I had heard them on SiriusXM, not known who they were, and they're quite good. But, so, and I bring this up because years ago, I was in Florence, Italy, and I was studying abroad, and I really wanted to know what was the subculture like in Florence, Italy. You know, what was the punk scene like in Florence, Italy? I was really curious to know that. So, I found a record store. It took me a while, but I found a record store that sold exclusively vinyl. So I go in there, and my Italian was just good enough to, like, ask the guy what I was looking for. And I was like, dude, where can I find some punk rock? What's the scene like here in Florence? And he looked at me like I asked him, where can I find an alien that's an aggressive gray or something like that. I go, where can I find, and he goes, punk rock in Florence? And he just goes, no, dude. And I was like, all right, I guess so. But a couple weeks later, because I was studying abroad for a summer semester, so I was there for 6 weeks. A couple weeks later, there was this street punk show that was just going on in the middle of the town square, and it was nuts. Everybody had a dog with them, and it was this crust band that was one of the most intense crust bands I ever heard. And I'm not a big crust punk guy. Like, I'm not big. I mean, I've seen GBH before. I respect it for what it is. I enjoyed it for what it was. It's just not really, not really the type of music I connect to as much as other genres of punk rock. But I was still just so blown away to just be in that moment, and I just thought this was the coolest thing. Like, here I am in Florence, Italy, and I'm witnessing this true crust punk experience. And then one of my old professors that was also in Italy at the time that I saw there, he got really drunk, and he told me this story about when a bunch of Italians beat up Fugazi. I'm a Fugazi fan. I mean, I'm not... and it wasn't... I mean, everybody was okay. No one got seriously injured. But I guess Fugazi was trying to say that they were, hardcore socialists or whatever. And the Italian punks were like, no, you're not. You're a bunch of American posers. And Fugazi was like, no, we're not. And then they fought each other, and they beat up Fugazi. Allegedly, that was what was going on. I don't know if this story's true, because the professor that told me that was kind of a bullshitter when it came to everything. So whether there's any truth to that story, who knows? But it's a story he told me, and I remember that story when I was on Catalina Island, and I saw a girl in a GBH hoodie, and I thought, man, I wonder if there's any punk rock on this island. And I wanted to ask her, but she was working. That was the other cool thing. She was working at a restaurant, which was really neat. They let you work in a GBH hoodie. I thought that was neat. And so I wanted to ask her, but I was like, she was working. You know, she's busy. Rollins was beat up by Gene October of Chelsea. That's not the story Rollins tells. Excuse me. That's not the story Rollins tells. The professor was Italian, yes. The professor was from Italy. Yeah, the way Henry Rollins tells it, Gene October backed down. That's the way he tells it and get in the van. But what the truth is, I guess we'll never know. I've never heard Gene October's side of the story. But the way Rollins tells it, he was kind of surrounded. October intimidated him. And then, again, a second time when it was just one-on-one, October was intimidated by Henry Rollins. I don't know. I don't believe that. Gene October is full of shit. Maybe. I have no idea. You believe Rollins? Well, then Rollins didn't get beat up. If you believe Rollins, he did not get beat up then. By his telling of the story, he was certainly not beat up. Danzig was hiding from Jerry Only. I'm assuming you mean Jerry Only. He was going to beat the shit out of him. Well, they're all friends now. They all get along now. And there actually is a video of Danzig getting punched out on the internet. I don't know if you've ever seen that. But this guy messes... it was one of the opening acts. And he punches out Glenn Danzig. I don't know if you guys have seen that video. You know, I'm not a big fan of fighting. I don't like it. But, you know, curiosity led me to that video. But Rollins is pretty egocentric. I could see him bullshitting about that fight. Yeah, I mean, he controls the narrative, right? It was his book. I mean, he talks about that fight extensively and get in the van. And it wasn't really a fight, according to him. According to him, it was, you know, Gene October was with a bunch of his friends, so Rollins was outnumbered. And Rollins was sleeping. That was their first encounter. Like, Rollins was literally sleeping. They woke him up, and they were like, oh, America, blah, blah, blah. Started messing with him. And so then, a year or two later, it was just one-on-one, and it was just Gene October and Henry Rollins. And I think maybe Greg Jim was there, too. So I guess technically Gene October was outnumbered in this, for instance. But it was just like him and Rollins mano-y-mano. And according to Rollins, Gene October just got out of there. Chris Swan says, Glenn brought that fight on, just saying, yeah. Glenn Danzig was not being a cool guy. There's no doubt about that. And yeah, the video is out there on the internet. So let's jump to some other stuff here. And by the way, this is Music Monday. So if you guys have some music stuff, please do tweet it at me at Romplacone. And this can be a more music-centric show. And we can talk about other stuff, too. This doesn't have to be just a music show by any means. It's still in every show. But music is smiled upon as well. So here's an update that I wish I had a better one for you. A lot of you guys have been following my battle here in Pasadena to get municipal internet to Pasadena. As you guys know, tomorrow, as of the recording of this, tomorrow, which will be Tuesday, May 8th, there is going to be a city meeting. We got it on a municipal agenda. To catch you up to speed real quick, in January, I showed up to the city council meeting. A bunch of other activists in the area showed up with me, which was great. We made the case for municipal internet in Pasadena. There were a lot of us at the city hall meeting, so they put it on a municipal agenda. That takes a while, so that's happening tomorrow. They're going to talk about bringing municipal internet to Pasadena. One thing that they do, and I can go ahead and I'm going to tweet this right now so you guys can follow along if you want. One thing that they do is they will they will post the agenda for the municipal the municipal agenda, they'll post it in advance. So what I'm tweeting out right now is the agenda for municipal internet that we're going to hear tomorrow. And I could not be more disappointed. So I'm scrolling through this thing now. First of all, I'm pretty sure the words net neutrality are nowhere in this presentation. They talk about what broadband is. They talk about the 3 incumbent providers of residential wired internet service. These are their words. They talk about Spectrum, AT&T, and Frontier. They talk about what Charter offers, what Charter may offer in the future. Same with AT&T, same with Frontier. They talk about in the future what we can expect. Here's something from the presentation itself that I just tweeted. In the future, what can we expect? Private sector provides investments in technology upgrades, and service expansion will be driven by consumer demand, competition, ease of access to public infrastructure. They talk about other muni fiber-to-home investments that other communities in the area are making, i.e. Beverly Hills. They also talk about Santa Monica. They talk about San Francisco's public-private partnership, and they kind of poo-poo it. Then they talk about other communities that rely on public sectors. So what do they want Pasadena to do in conclusion? Encourage private sector providers to meet residential broadband needs. So here's a summary. The summary of all this is they use this opportunity to talk about municipal internet to Pasadena. They use this opportunity to promote the private ISPs. They are saying that the private ISPs are all we need, ISPs being internet service providers, AT&T, Spectrum, and that we're fine. And that we can't afford municipal broadband anyway, and that it's not necessary. The words net neutrality are found nowhere in this presentation. Absolutely nowhere. This completely ignores why we were there in the first place. And this completely ignores why municipal broadband is 110% necessary. What this says is that local government, in my case, is not on my side. So there are people all across the country now having a similar fight to me. And someone emailed me the other day and said that now their mayor is all about net neutrality. They weren't familiar with the issue. And now that they're familiar with it, they're keeping an eye on it. They might sign the petition, the person said to me, which is great. So in their case, their local government is working with them. In my case, they're not. And this presentation proves that they're not. And, I mean, the words net neutrality aren't even in the entire presentation. So, ever since I've looked at this, it's been kind of hard. I looked at this when I was on Catalina Island. I looked at, because I couldn't wait. Like, I felt like a little kid around the holidays, right? Like, I see the agenda, and I'm like, this is it. This is what we've worked for. Let's see what they have to say. And honestly, I would have preferred that I just open the document and it's just a poster of a middle finger, and it just would have said, do you want municipal internet? Well, fuck you. Because that would have been shorter. I mean, that's pretty much what we're saying. If we could summarize this, they're basically saying, you want municipal internet? Go fuck yourself. fuck you, we're not doing it. That would have been easier to read, shorter to read. So, oh no, I'm still going. I'm still going. And for anybody watching this that you're in the Pasadena area, that you've been part of my battle, please don't get discouraged from showing up. Because I will be speaking when they open it up to public comments. And I will be bringing this up. And my goal is to speak before they give the presentation. I'm going to say, just so you know, the presentation that we're going to see has nothing to do with why we're here. And it is just a PR piece for big corporate internet service providers. So this proves, you are going to watch local government prove to you, to your face, that they serve corporate interests, not you. This presentation proves that the city of Pasadena does not care about its residents at all. At all. If they were just trying to mess with me, it's not going to work. It's going to backfire on them. Because I'm still going tomorrow. And I hope everybody else that was still planning on going tomorrow will go tomorrow. This clip will be out before Tuesday. I will spread it to all the appropriate activist groups. And, you know, for those watching that this applies to you, if you decide it's better to not attend tomorrow, I totally respect that. Don't attend. That's fine. I encourage you to attend anyway. I will be there anyway. And I will be saying my piece. And I will be saying in a very polite and diplomatic manner that they're proving that they really don't care about residents. That this is a PR fluff piece for ISPs. The people that want to strip the open internet from you. The reason why we're here. And you don't even mention net neutrality in your presentation. That proves either A, you don't know what net neutrality is, which if that's the case, you're not qualified to have your job. You need to step down. You're not qualified to be here. You should step down. Philip Leclerc is the author of this presentation. That is the Chief Information Officer. So, Chief Information Officer. If you are a Chief Information Officer of a community as big as Pasadena, which is a pretty big town, you know, you're not qualified to have your job if you don't know what net neutrality is. You are underqualified for your job. You haven't kept up enough to keep your job. I'm sorry. And if you're going to use an opportunity when activists through the grassroots have gotten something on a municipal agenda and you turn and use that opportunity to promote AT&T and Spectrum, you're either profoundly ignorant, which maybe you are. Maybe you are that ignorant. In which case, again, you need to step down. You're not qualified to have your job. You need to step down. You're not doing a service to yourself. You're not doing a service to Pasadena. You're not doing a service, honestly, to the country. Because every municipal internet victory gets national attention. Every mesh network victory gets national attention. So you're doing an incredible disservice. So either you're profoundly ignorant or you're slapping us in the face. So, okay. Either way, the next step involves fighting local government instead of working with local government. And that's disappointing, but, you know, my next step will be who needs to run against this person. You know, is it an appointed position? Does it just require somebody getting on city council, taking up that position? And, and how do we get some mesh networks? They quote, at some point in the presentation, they quote $130 million. They say that's how much it would take to bring municipal broadband to Pasadena, which if you if you divide that per household, which I've already done, that ends up being almost about $200 per household a month, which is a lot. That's way too much. But what city resources could they put towards that money? And the bigger question here, how did they get that number? I mean, this presentation, if you look at the presentation, I'm not going to go through it one slide at a time, especially since it's a bunch of corporate garbage. It's pretty much just propping up corporate interests, saying the private sector is the way to go, and telling the rest of us to be damned. So all of their data is manipulated into fitting that agenda. So obviously they're going to try to tell that story. So I don't know where they got the $130 million from. They don't tell us. But if I was in charge of this project, my first step, I would bring some of the people from New York that are doing the mesh networks. I would fly them in, and I would have them be like, hey, how much would it cost for us to have residential broadband? How much would that cost us? And I'd have them give me a number, and I bet you it would be less than $130 million. I bet you it would be a number that would be affordable for people to pay for their internet each month. I bet you that's what would happen. So that's the update. I really hope everybody that was planning on attending with me tomorrow still does. I think it's even more important that we're going to be there. And I plan on saying my piece, and I plan on calling this, quote, presentation what it is. And then I look forward to hearing the presentation afterwards. But I will get there very early. I will sign up for public comment. And I hope to say that piece. So that's the update there. I wish it was better. But that's the update. And yes, I do hope to film it. All right, Hoot Hoot sent this in. We'll move on. You know, in a way, it's almost like our prior episodes were foreshadowing. You know, we did that piece on what's going on in Nevada, where they're denying people water. They're stopping water from going to a reservation. We talked about that story, and volunteers are getting these people water anyway. And we talked about how, you know, sometimes when the government really just turns their back on you, you need to take it into your own hands. So, you know, now I'm really going to have to practice what we just talked about, because that's what we're going to have to do. And we start tomorrow. And I hope everybody comes with me. Thank you guys for your encouragement. I appreciate that. And Daniel, to answer your question, Jimmy is dealing with a medical issue right now. He is on board with this. But Jimmy's dealing with a medical thing right now, and that has to come first. But he's certainly on board with this fight. He's definitely been helping out, and you know, he will continue to. But as far as him being there tomorrow, I don't know if he'll be able to do that, and I certainly understand that he likely will not be able to. What's most important is that he you know, has a quick and speedy recovery. So, and I don't want to say much more about that out of respect for him. I don't know what he wants people sharing and not sharing. You know, kind of the official, you know, the official take on it. Jimmy has a medical issue he needs to deal with, and it's not a life-threatening medical issue. So, you know, there's no need to worry, but he needs to take care of that first. And I don't want to say more than that out of respect for him. All right, so this is from Hoot Hoot. Is this a poem? This is pretty cool. So this is from Reddit. I just gave this a retweet. It's not about blind fealty to Bernie, and it never has been. Okay, so this is from Hoot Hoot. In one corner, we have those who express their concerns by preaching to us from their establishment-leaning soapbox, the lazy gospel of what would Bernie do. But Bernie said, Bernie accepts the 13 Russians narrative, why won't you? Bernie would be ashamed of this sub. And in the other corner, we have the concern camp, Billy Taylor and his sort among them. Bernie is a sheepdog, Bernie is a fraud and a sellout who betrayed us, Bernie is a liar and not to be trusted. Both sides seems to want us to worry more about the whims and actions of one guy over the principles, the issues he raised, and where we do agree with him. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. How many times does a man have to tell you that he can't do it alone, and that it's not about him, and that he does not want you to blindly follow him, that you won't nor should you listen to him if he tells you what to do, that he's not your savior. Do you blame the guy who crashed into you, or do you blame the idiots running the store for not putting out a sign in the first place? Alright, and then there's an article here. Worry more. Alright, so let's get to the meat of this. Moral of the story is worry more about the issues, getting people into office, and calling out those who perpetuate election fraud. These are the things that must be dealt with. Worry about what you think is most effective in forwarding the progressive cause, and who knows, you just might come to find out Bernie was with you the whole time. I like it. I like it. It's a good article. Thank you, Hoot Hoot. I like that a lot, and I think that makes a lot of sense. You know, and I've said that before. You know, have I liked every action Bernie has taken? Of course not. I can't think of anyone who I've liked every action they've taken. But it's about policies, it's about principles, and it's about the movement as a whole, not necessarily what one person is or isn't doing. And, you know, whether you like Bernie or not, the bigger picture here is one thing Bernie did was he shined a big flashlight for all of us to let us know that there's more of us than we realize, and to let us know that we're far from alone, and that we're a big enough sector to really bring about true change. That's what Bernie did. You know, whether you like him or not is irrelevant to that point. That's just factually what he did. And that alone is more than most politicians have accomplished in a lifetime. So now you got to kind of take that and run with it. And that's what we got to do. So, you know, if you're looking for Bernie to be some perfect savior, well, you're going to be grossly disappointed, because that's not what he is. That's not what anybody is. But if you're going to be appreciative of what he did and take it and run with it, that's what you got to do. And we're certainly not going to agree on everything along the way. There's going to be some strategic disagreements. And when I say disagreements, I don't mean we're going to say it's okay to take all kinds of corporate money and to compromise on everything because the Republicans are bad guys. That's not what I mean when I say that. When I say that, I'm referring to we may have some disagreements on whether green entering is the way to go or not go. We may have some disagreements on Dem entering versus Dem exiting. We may have some disagreements on movement for a People's Party versus not movement for a People's Party. And as long as we're on the same side, those disagreements on strategy are okay. Because you know what we're going to do? We're going to discuss them. We're going to debate them. And we're going to come out of it with the strongest foot forward. That's how movements work. So, thanks for sharing that article. I appreciated it. And always appreciate what you're doing, Hoot Hoot. And I retweeted that for everyone to check it out. So please do. And another thing here that was sent is in regards to a big strike going on in California. And I'm not familiar with this. Oh, and I think my cat's stuck in the room. Hey,
what's up?
I will definitely check out the links. Let's see here. There's a massive strike in California right now via the DSA. This week, 53,000 workers at 10 University of California campuses and 5 UC medical centers across California will strike. The Democratic Socialist Labor Commission stands in solidarity with them. The state of California is the 5th largest economy in the world, and the University of California is the largest employer in the state. So UC negotiations will have a ripple effect, setting standards for workers' wages and working conditions across California. This is a historic strike with 3 unions participating: the AFSCME, CNA, and UPTE. The Democratic Socialist Labor Commission supports the UC worker militancy and encourages all DSA and YDSA members to support this strike. If you are in California, join the picket lines. If you can't, share your photos and messages of support on social media. The UC Regents, a board that includes wealth managers, financiers, and real estate investors, have been imposing a regime of austerity on California's public higher ed system for years, raising tuitions and privatizing services, while the state cuts billions taxes on billionaires. Now they are going full tilt against workers in the hopes that the forthcoming Janus decision will allow them to attack contracts at every level. The Regents are targeting workers' retirement, health care, wages, and layoff protections. Meanwhile, the Regents are ignoring workers' demands for sexual harassment protections, ban the box, and protection from ICE raids at work.
Yeah, but I'm totally fine to, I'm just like hanging out on the side of the pocket. I'm really trying to come get you.
Oh.
If I don't want you walking, I can just bring you and,
If you go to your local picket line, make sure to post pictures. If you can't do it out on the campus, you can still help by sharing your photos and messages of solidarity. Tag DSA Labor and Dem Socialists on Twitter and support the strikers on social media by using the hashtag 3299strong and strike for equality. And here's a list of the people behind this: the DSLC Steering Committee, Annabelle Vera, Francisco Canajaz, I'm sure I butchered that last name, John Pearson, J.P. Ketterbeck, Kerry Thompson, Marcia Nimmiller, Meredith Schaefer, Paul Prescott, and Spencer Cox. So party. That's good news. It's a shame that they have to strike because of something like this. Meaning that it's a shame that this is what those with power are doing. Wealth manager, financiers, and real estate investors. That's your board. That's your board. That's your board in higher education. Why is that your board in higher education, you ask? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense, but that's your board. So what are they more concerned with? Tax cuts for billionaires and profit. What are they not concerned with? Your retirement, your health care, your wages, your protection at work. Even higher education. And this is part of the reason by the way, and I'll just say this as an aside because it's somewhat related here. One of the reasons I didn't go on for my PhD, and I said this to my faculty advisor, when I met with my faculty advisor and I told him why I wasn't going on for my PhD, one of the things I said, I was like, you know what? I feel like academia has become a corporation with textbooks. And I still feel that way. And this is a reflection of all that. You know, there's a really popular Chris Hedges quote that we have an education system that is destroying education. We have a banking system that's destroying currency. And we have a news system that hates news, and it's destroying news. That's a paraphrase. I'm not doing it directly, but that's essentially what's going on. Okay. All right. I'll end kind of soon here. Alright, so guys, I'm going to have to end here a little early today, unfortunately. But let's get through a few more things before I sign off. Alright, so this is from Joe. Massive military base buildup suggests the U.S. shadow war in Somalia is only getting bigger. The U.S. is dramatically expanding its operations at a former Soviet airstrip in Somalia, constructing more than 800 beds at the buildup base. Vice News has learned the construction at the secretive base marks the latest example of America's growing and controversial shadow war in Africa. Buildup's expansion is one part of what appears to be a massive U.S. military infrastructure development project in the Horn of Africa country that will see at least 6 new U.S. outposts built this year, according to multiple defense contractors who spoke to Vice News. The buildup coincides with an aggressive escalation by U.S. forces in their fight against al-Qaeda-linked Al-Shabaab U.S. Africa Command, known as AFRICOM, now more than 500 U.S. military personnel in Somalia. So we're expanding into Somalia. Everybody, we're expanding into Somalia. We're expanding our worldwide conflict. And that military budget ain't going to get cut anytime soon. We're we're going to be expanding big time. Wow. Wonder what kind of bomb bonus they're going to get for this. And why are we there, guys? We're there because of oil interests. That's why we're there. Lucy hates war. You hear her? Lucy really, really hates war. Lucy hates war. Hood points out they treat our military as if it's a jobs program. That's what they do. So, how many bases did they say here? Six new outposts. So that's 6 new military outposts. And guys, unfortunately, I am going to have to end early here. I need to go. Everything's okay. But I had some news that needs my immediate attention. But everything is okay. So we're going to end a little early. Yeah, I apologize for that. I hate war too. Yes, I hate war. Alright, so let's do one more since I need to end early here. David sends this, and this kind of connects to what we were talking about. And this looks like this might be a kind of fun, sardonic one. Are you in a BS job in academia? You're hardly alone. I would like to write about the bullshitization of academic life. That is the degree to which those involved in teaching and academic management spend more and more of their time involved in tasks which they secretly or not so secretly. Oh, and that might be all the article. Yep. That's all the article we get. Yeah, this is from the Chronicle. So that's all the article we get. So I guess we're left on a cliffhanger. So I don't know what that article is actually referencing. I don't fucking know. But I have a feeling it's in relation to how academia is more concerned with selling credits to customers than they are with actually educating. You know, in many ways, the academy it's certainly not as corrupt as other institutions. It's certainly a breath of fresh air on the micro level in many for instances. Not in every for instance, but still in many for instances. But as a whole, it is becoming increasingly flawed. It's more concerned with selling programs and credits than it is with actually providing education. It's more concerned with evaluations and stuff. I mean, when you live in a world where the student has become the customer now, so that's what's going on in academia now. The student has become the customer, and that's wrong because you're not the customer, you're the student. You're there to learn, and you're there to be challenged. And they don't want that anymore. And academia is okay with that because I'd rather just shut up and say what I have to say to get tenure. That's what I want. And if I have tenure, I ain't letting go of it. And I need to screw over my department and other people in the meantime, that's what I'll do. And if we have some president that has no business being in academia because their background is in real estate or some other ridiculous thing, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter either. And the price of education is absolutely insane. And a college degree is becoming more and more obsolete as far as people that need it. So what do? Well, you try to make it an amusement park. And that's just tipping the iceberg of some of the issues that are going on there. And now it's become so corrupt that at least some of the good guys, at least some of the teachers and the workers are striking now. They're striking because they have no choice. Because it's become corrupted beyond recognition. And it's not just happening at the lower levels, at the K through 12 levels, where people don't get the resources they need to teach. It's happening at the college level too. One of the many, many reasons why we need tuition-free college. Because then we wouldn't have any of the stigmatic problems I just described. None of them would exist with tuition-free college. Guys, I have to go. I had something come up here, and I have to go somewhere right now. Everything is okay, but I do need to sign off early. I appreciate your encouragement through everything. It's a weird day. For those of you that were planning on coming with me tomorrow, please do still come. Obviously, the news I shared at the start of this with net neutrality is not what we were hoping for. But that's all the more reason why we need to show up. So I hope you'll join me tomorrow. Those of you that are local, of course, I know not all of you are. I don't expect you to take a flight for this. But our fight will continue. And I appreciate everybody's support. And look for us tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm not going to be on at my normal time tomorrow because I have to go co-host Aggressive Progressives. So for those of you that are fans of Aggressive Progressives, please tune in. I'll be co-hosting along with Mark Thompson and Steve O. And then on Wednesday, I leave for tour with Graham Elwood. Graham Elwood and I are going on the road. We're going to be in Tempe, Arizona Wednesday at the Tempe Improv in Tempe, Arizona. On May 10th, we're going to be in Lake Havasu, Arizona. On May 11th, we're going to be at the Center for Science and Wonder in Las Vegas, Nevada. On May 12th, we're going to be at the Comedy Palace in San Diego, California. Go to romplicone.com for details, grahamelwood.com for details, and get your tickets now. It's going to be a fun tour. We're really excited. And we actually have some Southeast states that we're going to be announcing soon. In fact, screw it. I'll announce it now. June 20th, we're going to be at Zanies in Nashville, Tennessee. June 21st, we're going to be at Stand Up Live in Huntsville, Alabama. June 22nd, we're going to be at the Biltmore in Asheville, North Carolina. June 23rd, we're going to be at Four Kegs in Louisville, Kentucky. And June 24th, we're going to be at the Atlanta Punchline in Atlanta, Georgia. But first, we're coming up this week. That's all happening. I got to sign out. And tomorrow we will not be on at our normal time. We will not be on at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time tomorrow. But I'm going to try to stream the meeting. Hopefully I'll be able to orchestrate that. Or Joe, you're going to be coming, so hopefully we can coordinate some stuff. Maybe we'll set you up with a camera or something. So guys, be on the lookout for that. I love you all very much. Sorry I got to sign out early, but I did have something come up, and I will see you guys very, very soon.